Give me a second. I know I just started it back up. Give me a second. Hold up. Let me get everything sorted here. Just make sure. Just making sure. Yeah, just making sure everything's okay. Okay, it looks like it's fine. We should be good. We should be good now. Okay, cool. Alright, so we'll pick off where we left off. So I said, huh? Huh. As I think over what Leanna said, I look at the Pongo one more time. This time he looks right back at me, and his eyes crinkle as he splits into a huge grin. He leaps up into the air and reaches the height of my waist. Whoa! He jumps high again. Leanna giggles.
I think he's tired of hopping.
Okay. I guess it can be kinda hard to keep up when you're so much smaller than us. I hold out my hands, and the Pongo hops right into my palm. But he doesn't stop there. Before I can react, he hops onto my shoulder and jumps again to land on the top of my head. I feel a cool wiggle in my hair. Leanna giggles again. What's he doing?
Nothing. He's just so happy.
She reaches out a finger to stroke the Pongo, who chirrups contentedly. Leanna's smile broadens. Then she clears her throat as she tries to take on a more serious expression. Her steps quicken as she resumes walking. Okay, let's ask her what brought her here. And one more thing, guys. I'm gonna be taking my time with this. I'm not rushing through this at all. So yeah, just a heads up. So, not that I'm complaining, but what exactly were you doing out in the field?
The field?
Where you found me?
Oh, there have been rumors of high energy readings around Meadow Hill, so I was sent to investigate. I had already checked out the surrounding area, and there'd been no clear source for all that excess energy until today.
When you met me. She nods. I hadn't been in the field for very long before you found me, though.
You might be a byproduct of whatever created the energy spike in the first place.
What do you think that was?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen readings of that level before. The Mage Academy should be able to help explain.
I wonder what it takes to become a mage. So, besides magic, what else does the Mage Academy teach?
Oh, all the basics. How to use a manipulator, how to control your energy, the many usages and differences between crystals and spheres.
Crystal, energy, and spheres? What exactly is this crystal stuff you keep mentioning?
You mean the difference between crystals and crystal spheres? Well, when we refer to crystals, we mean the raw crystals, whereas crystal spheres are the usable refined state.
That's helpful, but I meant crystals in general. She stares at me and narrows her eyes as if she's trying to judge if I'm serious.
It's the power source for, well, everything.
I'm surprised she hasn't noticed that I'm not from that world yet. I look blankly at her.
You don't use crystals where you come from?
No. Her mouth falls open and she looks at me in bewilderment.
With no crystals, what else do you use to power things?
Lots of stuff. I count off on my fingers. The sun, water, wind, nuclear fusion, fossil fuels like coal or oil. Her eyes widen with each item I list. She's about to speak, but I'm not finished. Geothermal, waves, tidal, hydrogen.
Okay.
She shakes her head incredulously.
I get it. You have your own methods of energy. Many methods.
Mm-hmm. He didn't even mention electricity. Leanna's eyes sparkle as she falls into a pensive silence. A small smile plays at her lips while she considers what I've said. I might have overwhelmed her a little, but she actually seems interested in all our methods for harnessing energy. And let's ask her about her gauntlet. And again, like I said, guys, I'm going to be taking my time with this. I'm not rushing through this at all. So, just letting you know. Yeah, I'm going to be going through every option I possibly can. Let's see. Without seeming too suspicious, I try to get a better look at her gauntlet. At her gauntlet. What was that thing she was doing with it earlier? Leanna notices me staring and shifts uncomfortably.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I was just curious about your gauntlet.
Oh, my manipulator?
Sure.
All mages have a manipulator. It's how we use energy to interact with the elements around us.
Wait, you mean you can cast spells?
I suppose that's one way to phrase it.
Whoa! Can you show me something cool?
Like what?
I don't know. Tornado power! Can you summon a tornado? She laughs.
Not exactly. We can manipulate elements, but not to that extent.
Oh. I try to hide the disappointment in my voice. So it should have been like, okay. Yeah, no. Okay. Okay. I listen for the sounds of wildlife as we continue walking. I can hear the usual sound of birds, the usual song of birds, and faint whoosh of wings flapping in the air. Occasionally, there's a rustle amid the trees, and I even swat at bugs buzzing around my eyes. It all feels very familiar, reminding me of home. Leanna clears her throat.
So, you're from USA?
USA, but yeah.
Which kingdom is that in?
How should I phrase this? In the Kingdom of North America. She frowns and scratches her neck.
I'm a little ashamed to say I'm not familiar with that place. Where is it?
On Earth.
Earth?
Okay. Time to take a different approach. Let me see if I can explain. Alright, tell me. Where are we right now?
In Meadow Hill.
And where is that?
In the Kingdom of Havengard.
And where is Havengard?
In the land of Asaria.
And what is that a part of?
Terra, of course.
Okay, so Terra is my Earth. She pauses as my words sink in. Then she gasps.
Wait, are you not from Terra?
From what I've heard so far, I'm not. She looks concerned.
How did you get here?
That's what I'm hoping the Mage Academy can tell me.
Right, but I mean, how did you come to Meadow Hill specifically? Do you remember anything before you were in the field?
I think back. I was studying in the library, and I'd been extra tired because that's the same day I had my evening class. And I still remember everything about me and my past. Yeah.
Well, at least we know you don't have amnesia.
A nod. She lapsed back into silence, looking thoughtful. I have a lot to think about myself. My head is swimming with everything I've learned so far. Although there are some similarities between Terra and Earth, I've only scratched the surface on all the differences. I really hope the Mage Academy can help explain what is going on, and more importantly, how I can get back home.
Boy!
The pongo flips in front of my eyes, and I carefully scoop it back into my hair, or into my head, on my head. Whoa! What happened there? Did you slip?
Boy.
Is it my imagination, or did that poi sound a little sheepish? Liana looks over and grins.
You were trying to get a good look at our friend here, weren't you?
I feel movement on my head, as I assume the pongo nods.
Looks like someone got a little adventurous and lost his footing.
Boy.
Aww. I let out a chuckle as Liana giggles. Once the pongo is secure, we continue walking. Okay, so let's save. The sun dips in the sky and bathes the tips of the trees in a soft glow. My feet ache in protest with each step I take, and my legs are tight from all the walking. Finally, we come upon the perimeter of the village. Liana grins as she leads me through the gates.
Here we are, Meadow Hill Village.
I take the time to catch my breath and discreetly rest my burning muscles. Liana hardly seems affected by the long walk. Yeah, how was this close? I thought you said this place was close.
It is. It's only a half a day's walk.
I wait for her to say she's joking, but she's completely serious. How was that close? We should have just used an Ober.
I'm sorry?
I shake my head. Nothing. She cocks her head curiously, then shrugs.
Let's continue. We can...
That was my bad, hold on. Sometimes that'll happen, I'm sorry.
Let's continue. We can rest at the inn tonight.
As she resumes walking, I ignore my screaming legs and follow her. The village is still bustling with people even at this time of day. I suppose they're getting in their last errands before nightfall. For the most part, everyone seems to focus on their own tasks. They barely glance at Liana, but when their gazes are drawn to me, they don't look away. In fact, their steps slow, and they crane their necks as we pass. Now I know how an animal feels at the zoo. Liana overhears my muttering and watches the people around us.
It's your clothes. They're very peculiar.
What I'm wearing is normal where I'm from. Even though the stares are directed at me, Liana seems equally uncomfortable.
Okay, new plan. Let's stop by the shops before they close. We don't need to draw attention to ourselves.
I instinctively pat my back pocket where I keep my wallet. I doubt they'll accept my. I doubt they'll accept card here or dollars. Sorry about that. I don't have any money.
That's okay. I'll take care of it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's understandable given your circumstances.
I'll pay you back once I can. Liana smiles and nods. Liana changes directions and leads me towards an adjacent street. There are a row of quaint shops lining both sides of the road. I read the signs as we walk past. Edward's Apothecary, Blackstone Forge, and Dragon Scale Armor. Huh?
What is it?
Huh. I was just thinking how convenient it. Sorry, I was looking at my phone. Sorry about that. I was just thinking how convenient it is that everything's in English here.
English?
I should have expected that question based on how our previous conversations have gone, but I'm still a little taken aback. It's what we're speaking right now.
We're speaking common.
What? Leanna pauses in front of a shop and peers inside. Satisfied, she motions for me to follow.
Never mind. Come on in. We're here.
I step into the shop, and the first thing I notice is the overpowering musty smell of leather. It's not surprising considering the walls are lined with different types of leatherware. A small elderly man emerges from the back. Excuse me, sorry. A pair of round glasses sits on his nose, as an apron hangs around his neck.
Welcome. Please, take a look around.
Let's see. His smile falters when he notices me. Leanna clears her throat.
We're looking for a new wardrobe for my friend here.
Let's see.
Yes, of course.
The shopkeeper blinks back to reality and resumes his pitch.
Well, you've come to the right place. We tan our hides and stitch the pieces ourselves. You won't find any finer quality than here.
Leanna smiles politely and strolls towards the selections. I check out two seemingly identical leather vests, both of which are marked at different prices. I really can't see a difference between the two. Maybe they boost different stats? Hey, Leanna. She turns around. Which one of these will increase my defense?
I suppose technically any of these could. They'll all give at least a minimal amount of protection in battle.
I mean, my armor rating. So, none of these raise any stats? Leanna gives me a weird look.
Do your clothes where you come from raise stats?
Only if you consider cool points a stat. She looks just as confused as before. Never mind. She smiles as we continue perusing. One by one, Leanna and I pick out my new outfit. Once all the pieces have been chosen, she goes to haggle with the shopkeeper. I tune out their discussion and watch the people passing by. Their clothing are simple in design, meant to be more functional than aesthetic. To my surprise, everybody walks around armed. The village doesn't seem dangerous, but looks can be deceiving.
Why don't you get changed now? There's a space in the back to give you some privacy.
I nod and take the clothes from her. Once I've ensured privacy, I quickly get changed. Luckily, these clothes have pockets and I can just transfer everything over. I palm my wallet, deck of cards, and loose change. Next is my phone. I try to turn it on to see if it works, but it doesn't react. The battery must be dead. I get the feeling they don't have wall chargers here. Shrugging it off, I slip my phone into my pocket too. When I emerge, Leanna gives me a once-over. How do I look? She grins and nods in satisfaction.
Wow, look at you! Just like a native. This look suits you.
I match her grin. Thanks.
Let's go find the inn now.
She heads out of the shop, and I follow her. Actually, maybe we can stop by the armory? She pauses and looks curiously at me.
Armory? You want to get a weapon?
Her question is careful, cautious. The goal is to blend in, right? It's weird that a person wearing leather armor is traveling unarmed. I look like a hostage or something.
You do have a point. Plus, it could come in handy.
Why do I not like the sound of that?
Do you know how to use a weapon?
Again, although her voice holds no hostility, I can sense her caution. I practiced kendo competitively. She blinks. It's a type of sword fighting where I come from.
I see.
Liana falls silent as she gazes out into the street. After an extended pause, she nods. Alright, so let's save it. We head to the forge where rows of blades ranging from long swords to short daggers hang from the wall. All of the blades look fairly plain, but the steel edges glint dangerously amidst the warm glow of the forge. Unlike the previous shopkeeper, the metalsmith ignores us as he pounds out a red-hot blade. Sparks jump from the clanging metal, reminding me of fireflies. If you guys are wondering what these are, they are guns, but it's like what did they call them again? They call these dischargers. They don't call them guns. And like they're actually, they shoot magical energy. They don't shoot bullets. Let's see. Liana lets me browse the swords. I reach for one that catches my eye. As I gently remove it from the shelf, I miscalculate its weight and it drops. The steel scratches the ground with a sharp screech. The metalsmith pauses in his work to glower a warning. Liana looks on in shock.
Careful!
I quickly right the sword back up and grip it tightly. Liana watches me with intrigue.
Is this the first time you've held a sword?
I lift, bro. Just a minor miscalculation. I got it. Practice ones only. Nothing beyond wooden swords. I take a practice swing and fumble the sword. Luckily, I tighten my grip and get it under control. Liana looks uneasy. I swing again, and the movement flows naturally. As the sword cuts through the air with a sharp thwing, I can't help but admire how smoothly it slices. This is high-quality craftsmanship. Let's go with this one. As before, Liana discusses with the shopkeeper when she returns. I strap the sword to my belt. And another save. We make one more stop to gather supplies for our journey. By the time we're finished, the sun has set and darkness blankets the sky. The town is aglow, with soft lights glint from within the houses and the lampposts on the street. As we pass by a lamppost, I peek inside and see a small crystal shining brilliantly. Using the lights to guide us, we find the inn. I take a seat at one of the crude tables while Liana talks to the innkeeper behind the bar. There are a scattering of other patrons, mostly men, who sit alone, nursing a tankard of what I assume to be ale. I stifle a yawn. Now that I've had a chance to sit down, I feel the full weight of my fatigue. Luckily, Leanna returns and hands me a key.
This is your room for the night. It's right next to mine.
Thanks. She nods.
They should be coming out with our dinner soon. Then we should get to sleep. We haven't...
Ugh, that sounded, holy crap.
They should be coming out with our dinner soon. Then we should get to sleep. We have an early start tomorrow.
My stomach grumbles in anticipation. Sorry. Leanna smiles as she sits in the empty stool next to mine. Our meals arrive, and I stare at the bowl before me. It's a goopy, thick stew, and looks about as appetizing as dog food. But it smells pretty good. What is this?
It's stew.
What kind of stew?
Rabbit.
A brief image of a cute, fluffy bunny flashes across my eyes.
Is something wrong?
Oh man. It says, I only eat non-GMO, all-natural, vegan, certified, gluten-free, 100% whole grain, no trans fat, grass-fed, no preservative, organic meals. Organic pasture meals. I think that's a jab at vegans. Yeah, nah, all good. I'm all about trying new foods. Nothing's wrong. That's fine. Thanks. This is fine. Thanks. I take a tentative bite of my stew.
How is it?
This is even better than I expected. Leanna grins as she digs in. I finish eating and Leanna cleans her bowl. Then, the two of us head upstairs. She pauses in front of her door, and I stop in front of mine. Good night.
Good night.
I'm about to enter my room when I hear a small voice.
Boy?
Oh, I forgot about the Pongo. Looking down, I see the Pongo back at my feet. Now that I think about it, ever since we entered the village, he's been awfully silent. Have you been following us this whole time, or did you lose us and find us again? The Pongo blinks twice and bounces.
Boy. Pongos aren't exactly welcomed everywhere.
Why's that?
Well, they absorb the energy around them, including crystals which are used to light lampposts or
Okay,
other
that makes
similar
sense.
items.
Okay, so yeah, it makes sense why they wouldn't be allowed everywhere. I can see how that would be bad.
I think this guy knew to stay out of sight once we came in here.
What if someone sees him here?
As long as he doesn't stray too close to a crystal, he'll be fine. People only make a fuss when it looks like their crystal might be drained.
Got it. She reaches toward the Pongo.
Do you want to sleep with me tonight?
Boy.
The Pongo snuggles against my leg. Leanna sighs.
I thought as much.
She opens her door and flashes me one last smile.
Sleep well.
She disappears into her room. I open my door and step through. The Pongo perks up.
Boy.
Yeah, let him in. I step away from the door, and the Pongo hops in. As I close the door behind him, he continues to hop around the room, as if inspecting it. Yawning widely, I collapse onto the bed. The Pongo continues to circle the room. Are you looking for a good place to sleep?
Boy.
Aww. He suddenly leaps up and lands on the bed. Then he bounces to the foot of the bed and wiggles himself a cozy nest by creating a small crater on the top of the blanket. I can't help but grin at the little guy. Good night, Pongo.
Poi poi.
I roll over in bed, and it's not long before I'm fast asleep. A lot of reading. My lips are getting dry. Man. Okay. And let me save it. A knock on my door jolts me awake. I sit straight up in bed, I sit straight up in the bed and barely notice a tiny yelp as the Pongo tumbles to the floor. Hello? The knocking stops.
It's Leanna. Are you about ready?
I rub my eyes and blink at the feeble rays of the light outside. What time is it?
It's past dawn. We need to get a move on if we want to make a good time.
Dawn? There's no good reason anyone should be awake at this hour. I attempt to lay back down in bed when the knocking starts again. Alright, I'll be there in a minute. The noise stops. I yawn and stretch, then notice the Pongo on the floor. What are you doing on the floor, buddy? Weren't you sleeping on the bed? The Pongo wiggles and shoots me an accusatory look.
Poi poi poi.
Aww. I glance at the slight indentation on my pillow, and back at the blue mass on the floor. Sorry, I didn't mean to knock you off. He looks cautiously at me, then hops onto the bed and up onto my head.
Poi poi.
He nips at my hair and then jiggles. I guess that means he's forgiven me. I push myself to my feet and begin getting dressed. Once I've grabbed all my things, I push open the door and nearly collide with Leanna. Again. Whoa!
Are you ready to go?
Yeah. Leanna nods, then leads the way out of the inn. I follow her through town as we head north. It's a lot quieter than when we first arrived at the town. Gradually begins to wake up. As the town gradually begins to wake up. Okay. We don't run into many people. We don't run into too many people on the streets. Although the shops aren't open yet. I can see the shopkeepers busy prepping for the day. And I forgot to save it there. Right before we reach the edge of town, a guard stops us.
There's been heightened bandit activity reported on these roads.
Leanna's brows crease.
Are the roads closed?
No, but until we get a handle on the bandit activity, we're advising everyone to stay in town.
We can't stay.
Where are you headed?
We're headed to Illumia.
The guard notices the sigil on Leanna's manipulator.
You're a mage knight?
She nods. As the guard turns his focus to me, I draw attention to the blade on my hip. He nods gruffly, then moves out of the way.
Just be careful out there.
Thank you.
She motions for me to follow her. Let's see. Once we're back on the familiar dirt path. Okay. Once we're back on the familiar dirt path, I take one last look at Meadow Hill Village before refocusing on the road ahead of me. Our trek along the path is peaceful. The forest gradually awakens with birdsong and the scuttering of woodland animals. Having grown up in the city, the sounds of nature still startle me, and I glance at every rustle of leaves. Liana, though, seems unfazed. Her eyes routinely survey our surroundings. Suddenly, she freezes. I nearly bump into her. What the?
Shh!
I fall silent as she listens. When she speaks, her voice is a whisper.
Did you hear that?
I strain my ears, listening for anything out of place. Then, I hear the voices among the trees. Bandits? A strangled scream pierces the air, scaring a flock of birds into flight.
Someone might be in danger!
Her previous caution abandoned, Liana sprints towards the sound, and I follow at her heels. We both take cover as the trees open up, revealing a man in a trench coat surrounded by 5 bandits. One more bandit lies motionless on the ground. Upon seeing their fallen comrade, the bandits all unsheath their weapons. 3 of them hold long swords, and 2 of them point guns. The trench-coated man doesn't stir. His dark hair falls over his eyes, and I can't see his face.
He won't get away from us this time. Take him out.
The man pushes open his coat and draws 2 guns as the bandits converge. Liana sets her jaw.
Stay here!
As soon as the words fall from her lips, she races out of the trees. Her hair whips behind her, and her white coattails billow in a graceful arc. She moves faster than any human, as if the air is pushing her forward instead of dragging her down. Her gauntlet hand clenches, and a blue sphere glows, then disappears as she smashes her fist into the nearest bandit. He flies away from her and crashes against a tree before crumpling into a heap.
A mage knight?
She must be with him.
Or she's after the bounty. Take her out too.
So yeah, they have action parts like this too. It's actually these parts are really fun to read. The mysterious man fires a hail of purple blasts at the bandits, catching one of them in the chest. Liana deflects the sword from another bandit with her own blade. I can't just sit here and do nothing. I have to help. Ignoring Liana's command, I unsheath my sword and charge into the battle. Alright, so yeah, with battles they have this whole mini game thing. Alright, there we go. That's usually with battles, they have the whole minigame thing. Liana breathes heavily as she surveys the bodies around her. She glances at me and the stranger who's still standing.
Anyone hurt?
I do a gentle pat down of myself and wince at my bruises. Nothing major. Liana nods. Then she fidgets with her manipulator. I kind of wish that there was a way you could actually make the minigames harder, but there isn't. So that kind of sucks. The man stays silent as he inspects his gun. Now that I have a better look at him, I realize that although his fierce scowl makes him seem tough, he doesn't look that much older than me. His hair has a habit of falling around his eyes, but as he pushes it back, I notice a long scar cut across his one eye. Once satisfied, he tucks his guns back into his belt and gets to his feet. He nods at us.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is actually another one of the main characters. So, I think his name is Zach Spade, if I remember right. Then he turns
Wait!
away. He pauses.
Where are you headed?
Why?
Yeah, his name's Zach Spade.
There might be more bandits around. We should team up if we're going in the same direction. Safety in numbers.
He studies us in a stony silence. Then, his gaze flicks to her manipulator, and he relaxes slightly.
Where are you going?
We're headed to Illumia.
Me too.
Leanna nods.
You're from the Mage Guild?
Yes, I'm Leanna.
I'm Hero.
Zach.
Poi poi.
All of us glance at the little blue Pongo, who seemingly popped out of nowhere. And this is our little friend.
I see.
Poi.
The Pongo blinks at Zack, who stares him down. The Pongo bounces uncertainly.
Poi.
Zack's unblinking stare never wavers, so the Pongo scoots back behind my leg for safety.
Now that introductions are over, let's get moving.
Zack waits for us to collect our things, and once we're all set, we head back onto the road. Leanna and I lead the way, the Pongo keeping pace with us, while Zack hangs a few steps behind us. Alright, so here we go. So we got another ask-a-thon. Ask Zack about his weapons. So, what type of gun is Zack carrying?
You mean his discharger?
What's a discharger? I hear a sound from behind. I hear a sound behind us. Zack raises an eyebrow when I turn to look at him.
Did you hit your head or something?
Leanna looks a little uncomfortable.
He's not exactly from around here.
Zack crosses his arms.
I see.
There's a pause. So, a discharger?
It's a weapon that uses crystal spheres to power it.
So, it is a gun.
Maybe?
The spheres are the bullets. Well, it's kind of like it's kind of the magazine in some sense, because it's used to fire bullets, or in this case, bolts of energy. Leanna looks uncertain. Although it made sense in my head, I can see why she might be confused. Never mind. I got it. Thanks.
Sure.
She smiles. I feel Zack's gaze on me, but his expression is hard to read. Leanna, I saw you during the fight. How were you able to move that fast?
Oh, I cast wind magic to manipulate my movements.
Oh, so like putting on a speed buff.
They're small adjustments, like shifting the draft to move me forward, or using a breeze to help lift me during jumps.
Damn, that sounds awesome. She grins.
The next time you're lagging behind, I'll use my wind to give you a little boost.
That would be amazing. I can already imagine myself running like the wind. Liana seems pleased by my reaction. Alright, so it says, ask how Zack knew she was in the Mage Guild. How did Zack know you were in the Mage Guild?
He saw my emblem.
She lifts up her arm and points to the sigil on her manipulator. What exactly does the Mage Guild do?
We investigate any type of magical anomaly. The Mage Guild in Havengard is actually headquartered in Illumia.
Sort of like a police force. Liana furrows her brow.
Police?
Like how detectives go out into the field and solve mysteries.
A little like that.
Okay, so they have concept of detectives, but not of police. Okay. It now makes sense as to why both the guard in Meadow Hill Village and Zack relaxed after seeing Liana's emblem. Well, it looks like that guard was telling the truth. There definitely are bandits on this road.
Yeah.
There's something in her voice which makes me think she doesn't completely agree. What is it?
It's just, well, for bandits, they were pretty well equipped.
What, like assassins? She stares hard at Zack, but he doesn't react. What does that mean? Are they not bandits? Liana continues to look at Zack.
I'm not sure.
They were bandits.
She looks sharply at Zack, obviously caught off guard.
Sure.
That doesn't sound too convincing. The subject drops, but I still feel a little uneasy. If those guys weren't bandits, then who were they? And why were they attacking Zack? These are good questions. The questions circle my mind as the conversation lulls to silence. Liana leads the way though she seems to have something on her mind. Zack trails from behind. He remains silent, on heightened alert. We travel together for quite some time, with no further interruptions. I can feel my legs start to burn from all the walking. Liana squints at the sky.
We should make camp before it gets dark.
Zack nods.
There's a good spot up ahead which hides us from view. It'll still give us visibility on any intruders, though.
Sounds good. Zack leads the way, and soon we reach the clearing. The three of us get to work setting up camp. I roll out my bedroll near the campfire and notice how thinly it spreads on the ground. Can this thing really be comfortable? I guess there's only one way to find out. I lie down on the bedroll and place my hands behind my head. This isn't as bad as I thought. A yawn escapes my lips. I could definitely sleep. I could definitely fall asleep here. My gaze lingers on the night sky above. The moon hangs in the inky sky, dotted with so many pinpricks of silver light. They sparkle vividly, as if trying to chase away the dark. Wait, how did I just notice that? I'm not sure if my alerts are working or not. Ryan B. Jones, thanks for the follow. I breathe out a breath in wonder. I never knew that stars could shine so brightly. I try to pick out a few constellations, but the star patterns above are unfamiliar.
What are you looking at?
I quickly sit up at the sound of Liana's voice. She holds two steaming bowls in her hands. I accept one of the bowls with a smile as she sits beside me. Just admiring the sky. This place is really beautiful. Back where I live, you don't get to see so many stars.
How come?
Light pollution. Our cities are filled with so much light that it drowns out the stars. Liana gazes thoughtfully at the sky.
Right. It's a little harder to see the stars in town than it is out here.
I shake my head. That's not the same. Some nights, I don't see any stars at all. Her eyes widen in surprise. Then she places a hand on her chin.
A night sky without stars.
She looks at me.
What's your world like?
Yeah, this is pretty accurate. Yeah. So there's three options. So it says it has really cool tech. It's bad. Humans are a plague on the planet, or different but more or less the same. Yeah, this is pretty accurate right here. Like, as humans, we are definitely a plague on the planet. That's why scientists say there's such a thing as natural selection, that eventually Earth will turn on us, etc. Like, we're technically a plague on the planet. Imagine bacteria in a body and what the white blood cells do to that bacteria. And imagine the planet and us being the bacteria and the planet being the body. That's pretty much how accurate it is. So let's see. It used to be beautiful, just like this place. But the advancements of human society is gradually killing the planet.
That doesn't sound good.
It's the reason why you can't see the stars at night or blue skies during the day.
What color are your skies then?
Smog. She furrows her brow. The Industrial Revolution was the rise of civilization and the destruction of nature. We burned fuels which polluted the skies with smoke and harmful gases. Our oceans are filled of waste and trash, and we've cut down our forests and turned them into housing developments.
But what about all the animals that live there?
They're suffering, but we're suffering too. But we don't realize it yet.
How so?
Our cities are always shining bright, even at night, so people continue their days and never give their bodies a chance to rest. And we live in cramped spaces like cages. Leanna frowns and pulls her knees in closer to her chest.
That sounds terrible.
Maybe I was being a little too harsh. There are some things which are still good, and I'll admit that technology has made life a lot more convenient. Plus, there are still people who are actively bringing awareness to these issues and fighting to save our planet. Leanna nods. She tilts her head back and returns her gaze to the sky. Underneath the moonlight, her pale skin seems to glow amidst the darkness. Her face softens as she smiles.
You're right. The stars really are beautiful.
We fall into a comfortable silence as we enjoy the tranquility of the night. After we've finished eating and cleaning up, Zach approaches us.
It's getting late.
Leanna nods.
I'll take first watch so you can rest.
All right. I'll take second watch.
I guess that just leaves me with third. Zach stares unblinkingly at me, while Leanna coughs nervously.
That's okay. We had an early start, and I'm sure you're tired. We should rest up and sleep through the night.
Do you guys not trust me? It almost sounds like you guys don't trust me. Although I try to keep my tone light and joking, Leanna looks guilty.
No, that's not. I mean, it's not that we don't trust.
Yes.
Right. She looks sharply at Zach. His arms are crossed, but his expression doesn't change. Seriously? Zack nods towards Leanna.
She's part of the Mage Guild, so I know she won't pull any tricks. I don't know anything about you.
He does got a point.
I'm sorry.
As the fire in my mind abates, I realize Zack has a point. I've given him no reason to trust me. If I were in his shoes, I'd be just as cautious. I nod. Alright, I suppose that's fair.
I better get to sleep then. Good night.
Good night. Zack nods. Leanna flashes me one last smile before crawling into her bedroll. As she lies down, Zack positions himself against a tree and takes a seat. Let's get to know Zack. If we're going to be traveling together, I should make an effort to get to know what kind of person he is. I walk over to Zack. Hey. Mind if I sit? He gestures for me to join him, so I do. Obviously, I have to lead the conversation. So, how's the weather? Zack stares at me. Alright, let's switch gears. Are you a cat or a dog person?
Is this going anywhere?
I sigh. I'm trying to build up some trust here, but you've got to meet me halfway. Zack looks away. Great. I guess he doesn't want to talk.
Dog.
He's a dog person, okay. What?
I prefer canines.
Oh, cool. The silence creeps in again. So we're all going to Illumia.
Yep.
What brings you there?
I'm meeting someone.
Oh, a friend?
Someone from work.
What do you do?
I'm a mercenary.
Yeah, let's do it. Seriously? That's so cool. Zack shifts uncomfortably. His stony facade cracks and reveals his surprise.
Okay. So, why are you going to Illumia?
Leanna's taking me to the Mage Academy. He studies me again.
Are you a mage? You don't have a manipulator.
I shake my head. No, I'm looking for answers. He nods in understanding and doesn't pry. Although I try to stop it, a yawn escapes.
You should get some sleep. We have an early start in the morning.
That sounds familiar. I push myself to standing. Good night. He nods. I lie down in my bedroll and scooch around to get comfortable. I try closing my eyes to sleep, but something still doesn't feel right. Oh yeah, I need a pillow. Excuse me. Sitting up, I look around for anything. I look around for anything I can use. My gaze falls on the Pongo, who now rests beside Liana. I'm not gonna be that mean. I'm not gonna be a dick. The little Pongo rolls over in his sleep. I don't want to disturb him. Plus, that would be pretty rude. I don't find anything else suitable and decide to just make do without one. Lying back down on the bed, I close my eyes and eventually drift to sleep. I love the music cues in this game. Let's see. A dull throbbing in my back pulls me awake. I hadn't fully appreciated the magic of a mattress until now. A yawn escapes, and I stretch widely. Aside from the achiness, I actually feel well rested. I sit up and glance around. Zack leans against a tree with his head down. His hair covers his eyes, so I can't tell if they're open or closed. Regardless, His hands rest on his handles of his dischargers. Creepy. Looking around again, I fail to spot Leanna. Where did she go? I think I hear a cry in the distance. Is that her? I should go investigate. Crossing over a hill, I see Leanna practicing in a field. She grips her blade in a fighting stance, her face stern with concentration. She swings her blade in a high arc, ending with a graceful spin. Judging by how fluid and accurate her movement is, it's clear she's dedicated many years to perfecting her craft. Her hair whips around her as she turns, but never seems to blow in her face. Even with heavy armor, her movements are still nimble, as if she's wearing no armor at all. I wonder if all that has to do with her wind magic. Once she notices me, she lowers her sword.
Oh, sorry. Did I wake you?
I keep skipping that, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Did I wake you? I moved out here so I wouldn't disturb you.
No, I was already up. I didn't see you at camp, so I came looking.
Gotcha.
Glancing down at my feet, I spot the beaming Pongo. Leanna giggles.
Looks like you guys are best friends already.
The best of friends, isn't that right? The Pongo nods excitedly.
Poi.
It's pretty early. Do you always begin your mornings with a warm-up? Leanna nods.
It helps me wake up and prepare for the day ahead. Also, it's become a part of my routine, so it just doesn't feel right when I don't do it.
I know what you mean. I can't really go through my morning routine from Earth here on Terra, and it feels a bit strange.
Right.
Leanna looks down. The awkwardness creeps into silence. She probably took that in a negative way, which wasn't my intention. That's okay though. I can always make a new routine.
New routine?
I unsheathe my blade and grip it. This morning practice you do seems like a good place to start. She grins.
Considering how well you handled yourself yesterday, I'm curious to see what's the extent of your skill set.
I smirk. Only one way to find out. So, what's the lesson today, senpai?
Sand pie?
I shake my head. Never mind. She blinks, then refocuses and matches my fighting stance by raising her sword.
Since you already have some experience with the blade, sparring will be the best way to gauge your skills.
I frown. This hardly seems like a fair fight.
I won't use my wind magic.
Okay, that evens up odds a little bit. Leanna
Besides,
nods.
the goal of sparring is to train your skills, not to win or lose.
Fair enough. I ready my blade in a battle stance, which she matches. Here we go. Action scene. Leanna dashes towards me. Her movements seem slower than what they were during the bandit fight. It seems like she isn't using her wind magic. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, it's always different. It's always different ones. Somehow, I managed to keep pace with her. Every time I think I'm about to get the upper hand, her intensity increases until we're equally matched again. Even so, I could feel her holding back. Without using magic, mage knights are still a formidable opponent with the sword, especially if they're anything like Leanna. We go back and forth with a few more swings, until Liana strikes from above. I hurriedly block with my sword, but I lose my balance in my hurry and topple to the ground, landing on my back. Excuse me, sorry. Liana knees down beside me.
Your
Kneels down
fundamentals are
beside me.
solid. If you keep practicing, I'm sure you'll be a formidable warrior in no time.
That's pretty high praise when it's coming from you. She smiles and blushes. Liana extends a hand and helps me back on my feet.
It would be better if I could watch you spar with someone else. That way, I can see your movement from different angles and give you better feedback.
Unless the Pongo can use a sword, the only other option is Zack. I look around and spot Zack leaning against the tree closer to our sparring location. He watches us with his arms crossed. Wait, how long has he been there? Liana rushes over to him.
Zack! Would you be willing to duel with him?
She points to him.
I'd like to get a better look at his
Or
technique.
points to me, sorry. He merely stares at her.
Oh, right. You need a blade.
Liana hands her blade to Zack. He takes it from her and inspects it.
What are the rules of the duel?
Standard spar. Be the first one to knock your opponent to the ground.
Zack nods and heads back toward the field. Or heads towards the field. As Liana returns to me, we share a glance. That was surprisingly easy. I guess it's not in any mercenary's nature to back down from a fight, even if it's a fake one.
Are you two ready?
I step a decent distance away from Zack and ready my blade. Yep. Zack continues to stand there. I look at Liana again, and she just shrugs. He nods.
Okay, begin!
I rush forward. Yeah, he just shot him. I rush forward, and suddenly, I'm on the ground, staring up at the sky with an aching pain in my chest, and the wind knocked out of me. I groan.
Strange. I thought he'd last at least 2 shots.
Zack!
What?
Why did you use your discharger?
Why not?
Liana steps forward.
The whole point was to have a sword match with him.
You didn't list that as a rule.
He has a point. Her frustration is evident in her voice.
Why else would I give you my sword?
Why did you give me your sword?
For you to use!
She snatches her blade back from Zack and heads over to me.
Are you hurt?
My pride. My pride. Oh, wow. So, this is what it feels like to be emasculated twice. My gaze drifts past Liana to the blue sky behind her. At least the view is nice. Liana helps me up again.
The one and only lesson you need to know when fighting. Do whatever it takes to win.
As soon as he's done speaking, Zack turns around and heads back to the campsite. Liana huffs.
Mercenaries can be so annoying sometimes.
He's probably seen some heavy stuff. Mercenaries take on all sorts of jobs, including some really unsavory types. That probably influences their battle ethics and code for survival to be more brutal than others. Liana ponders my words.
That's true.
We pack up our things and clean up the campsite. Then, we continue our journey. As we walk, we slip into a comfortable silence. Zack lingers behind Liana and I, while the Pongo returns to his usual spot on my head. After a few hours, it doesn't feel like we're getting any closer. So, how long until we reach Illumia?
We'll need to stop at Raven Pass to restock and spend the night. But if we continue to make good time, we'll reach Illumia by midday tomorrow.
One more day of walking? Or one more day of walking? If only I had brought my BitFit. If only I had brought my BitFit, I would have my daily steps done for a lifetime. I nod, and we fall back into silence. Since this black screen is like literally like just a few lines of dialogue away, I'm not going to save it here. By mid-afternoon, we arrive at the gates of a settlement, even smaller than Meadow Hill Village. And I'm sorry about all the noise, guys. That's my upstairs neighbors. They always make noise like that. It fucking irritates me, but I have to deal with it. The town consists of an inn and a few shops. The bare essentials. They probably only ever see travelers like us. People passing through on their way to Illumia.
Okay, we should stock up on supplies.
I'll be making a stop at the weaponsmith.
Zack pats the two holstered dischargers by his side. Now that I think about it, I only saw him use one during the bandit ambush. The other one must have already been damaged.
I'll check out the shop since my weapons are okay on repairs.
I'll go with you. Liana smiles. Zack nods.
See you soon then.
He turns down another path.
Let's go!
Liana smiles back at me as she leads the way to the shops. Wait up! Again, it's only a few lines of dialogue away, so I'm not going to save it here. We find the general store with ease, since the marketplace itself is quite small. In fact, I'm surprised by how busy this store is. I guess if you're the only general store around, business is bound to be good. As Liana picks out a couple of items, I look around the shop. I notice people of all backgrounds wearing clothes ranging from the leather I'd seen in Meadow Hill to intricately embroidered robes. They really do get all types traveling through here. Once Liana is finished, I follow her to the counter to pay for our items.
Will that be all for today?
Liana nods.
Your total comes to 34 coins.
Liana's eyes widen.
34 coins for these? It should be at most 30.
The shopkeeper frowns apologetically. He doesn't seem too happy about the prices either.
I'm sorry, miss. The goods themselves are only 20 coins. The rest of the cost is the 70% tax.
The rest of the cost? Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, they wouldn't get that. Just gonna stay quiet. It's not my place to say anything. Liana furrows her brow.
I don't remember the tax being so high in the past.
The mayor only recently increased the tax.
Has no one asked why? It doesn't seem fair.
The man nods.
We did in the beginning, but then the mayor hired enforcers of the new law.
Liana frowns, but doesn't say anything more. The shopkeeper continues to look apologetic as he gestures at her items.
I'm really sorry about this, miss, but I don't have any other choice.
I understand. It's not your fault.
She hands over the coins.
Thank you for understanding. Safe travels.
As we head out, Liana seems quieter than usual. Are you okay?
Something about this just doesn't seem right. New tax rules and new guards to enforce them? I came through here only a few days ago on my way to Meadow Hill, and the tax hadn't been changed then. It all seems too sudden.
Let's investigate. We should find out what's going on here. Liana blinks.
Really?
I nod. We can't just leave it alone if something foul is at play here. Liana smiles.
You're right. Anyway, let's go meet up with Zach.
I nod. Alright, now I can save it. Alright, let's see. We make our way to the lane of the armory and smiths and peek through a few windows. Before we spot Zach, a guard looms over him. Uh-oh. This doesn't look promising. Liana frowns as we enter the shop.
This doesn't concern you. Stay out of it.
It became my concern when you threatened him in front of me.
Threatened? All I told him was what may happen to his store if he doesn't pay up for these protective services.
Leave. Now.
The guard laughs.
What makes you think I'd listen to you?
Zach glares at the guard as he flips open his coat. He flips open his coat and reveals his discharger. He grips the second discharger on the table. The color drains from the guard's face.
2 dischargers with purple spheres and a black trench coat. It can't be.
Zach shifts slightly, increasing the ferocity in his eyes. The guard tries to hide his fear with false bravado. He turns towards the shopkeeper.
You're lucky your friend was here today. He won't always be here, though.
After imparting one last subtle threat, the guard hurries out of the shop, brushing past Liana and I. Zach relaxes, and the shopkeeper sighs in relief.
Thank you.
That have to do with this new tax you mentioned?
The shopkeeper nods.
The taxes just keep growing. I've tried to keep my prices as low as possible for the customers, but then our taxes grow and, well, you saw what happens next.
His fingers tremble as he takes back the discharger. I think he's still shaken up by what happened.
I'm sorry. I still need a few more minutes to finish up the repairs. It would have been done by now if we hadn't been interrupted.
Zach nods. The weaponsmith gives him a grateful smile as he returns to his workroom. Tax issues again?
It looks like it's affecting all of the stores, and it's only going to get worse.
I'm not going to let it escalate.
Liana and I glance at Zach in surprise.
You two head to the inn. I have something to take care of first.
What are you planning to do?
I'm going to pay a visit to the mayor.
We're coming too. Zach looks surprised.
Something here is just not right. We can't sit by and do nothing.
The shopkeeper returns and places Zach's discharger on the counter.
All fixed.
Thanks. Here.
Zach offers coins to the vendor, who shakes his head.
Please, don't worry about it. You've already done me a huge favor by helping me with the guard.
Zach holsters his discharger and places the coins on the counter anyway.
I insist.
The shopkeeper looks conflicted, then sighs and nods gratefully. Yeah, things are about to get really, really wild. If I remember right. It's been a while since I played this. I think it's been like about a year and a half. But things are about to get really wild. Zach leads the way out of the shop and through the town. His footsteps are long and full of purpose. which is a change from his quiet cautious demeanor. I can't help but look at him with a newfound respect. This is the first time I've seen him so determined and driven. Soon, we arrive in front of a large, elaborate mansion. It looks very out of place compared to the modest shops in the rest of the town. 2 men guard the entrance. Zack pauses and sizes up the guards. I doubt they'll just let us waltz in to see the mayor. Zack nods and readies his discharger.
Agreed.
What are you guys planning?
We'll knock them out and make our way in. Zack blinks, then fiddles with his discharger.
Right. Just knock them out.
Leanna looks at Zack.
I don't agree with this decision. We don't know for sure these guards are bad.
Yeah, she is right. We don't know if they're bad or not. She does have a point. We might be jumping to conclusions. Maybe we should try talking to them first.
I doubt that would work.
It doesn't hurt to try.
Zack frowns, but after some thought, he nods.
We'll try that first. If that fails, we go to Plan B.
Plan B? Zack has already moved towards the guards and doesn't hear my question. I face Leanna. Do you know what his plan B is? She shakes her head.
Let's just hope it doesn't resort to that.
We catch up to Zack.
Halt! What is your business here?
We're here to see the mayor.
Does he expect your audience?
Zack shakes his head.
No, but I need to speak with him about this latest tax hike.
The tax hike?
The guards glance at each other and lower their weapons slightly. It almost seems as if they disapprove of the taxes too.
You guys don't seem too happy with the taxes either.
One of the guards hesitates, then nods.
My sister runs the bakery in town, and the taxes have been hurting her business.
Then why haven't you done anything about it?
We tried, as have some of the other guards. When we protested, the treasurer recommended the mayor hire real guards.
He glowers as he mentions the treasurer.
Treasurer?
Yeah, things have gotten really strange ever since he came to town. Suddenly the mayor is passing crazy rules he never would have passed before.
The other guard elbows his comrade.
Quiet down. Do you want one of his lackeys to hear?
The first guard frowns and falls silent. Leanna raises a hand to her chin in thought.
This treasurer sounds really suspicious.
The guard motions to her manipulator.
Wait, you're a mage knight?
Leanna blinks.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you scan the treasurer for magic use? I swear, he's doing...
Not your crazy theories again. They already have a court mage to see to that.
Yes, a court mage who was assigned by the treasurer.
Good point. The second guard frowns but doesn't reply.
If we let you through, will you just scan around and see if you notice anything?
Leanna nods.
Yes, I'll do what I can.
Just be careful. Some of the treasurer's hired guards may not be so fond of you poking around.
Both guards step to the side.
On your way.
Let's go.
So, a decision is coming up, and after this decision, or after this scene, I'm going to take a break. But a decision's coming up where we're going to be able to change Leanna's feelings towards us. So, this is probably like one of the major turning points in the in her decision toward the main character. So let's see. Zack leads the way again. We follow behind as Leanna fiddles with her manipulator. Before you say fairy tale, it's a derivative, it's not the actual fairy tale symbol. And they use this scene multiple times, but like it's always a different symbol. Let's see. As we progress through the mansion, we pass unnoticed by the clerks and guards milling about. They must assume we have a reason to be here if we got through the front door. Leanna stares intently at her manipulator, her brow furrowed in confusion.
This doesn't make any sense.
What is it?
The readings, they're so erratic. It's almost like but there can't be.
There's what?
Shadow magic.
Zack looks sharply at Leanna.
Shadow magic.
She reluctantly nods. Zack sets his jaw and tightens the grip on his dischargers. So, shadow magic. Someone mind telling me what that is?
It's forbidden magic.
She's entirely focused on her manipulator.
It's coming from...
She jogs down the hall and stops in front of mahogany double doors.
behind there.
Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind us.
It's you!
Standing down the hall is the same guard from the shop.
How did you get in here? Intruders!
All eyes fall on us as he begins yelling. The guards who previously ignored us now draw their weapons as they close in. Zack pulls out his dischargers.
You go deal with whatever that is. I'll keep them busy here.
Zack kicks down one of the tables and drops behind it for cover.
Go! Now!
As he raises his guns, purple energy swirls to life. He rains a hail of energy bolts down the hall in suppressive fire. Okay, so I'm gonna save this part. Leanna bursts through the doors, and I stay at her heels. The noise from the battle gradually fades away as we run deeper into the mansion. Eventually, the hall leads into a study. A carved wooden desk laden with books and ledgers is in the center with bookcases surrounding it. A man wearing a hooded dark robe sits at the desk. He scribbles something with one hand, while the other hand is hidden in his robe. An old man sits on the other side of the desk. His graying hair sticks out in strange angles, and his embroidered clothes are slightly askew. He stares at the open ledgers on the desk, but his eyes are dull, as if they aren't seeing, or as if they aren't really seeing it. Two guards stand by the doorway, as still as statues, with the same dull eyes. The treasurer rises to his feet.
Who let these two in? I explicitly said no visitors.
Leanna's manipulator pulses wildly, especially when she raises her arm towards him.
It's him! He's the source of the shadow magic!
Neither the mayor nor the guards react.
How dare you make such accusations! Arrest her immediately!
The guards ready their weapons. Stop! We aren't here to fight you.
It's no use! He's influencing them with shadow magic!
A gust of wind gathers around Leanna, violently whipping her hair and clothes. It concentrates in her gauntleted, that's a weird word to say, in her gauntleted hand, and she hurls it at them. The wind knocks the guards against the walls and blows open the robe of the treasurer, exposing his hidden hand. Within his palm is a dark crystal sphere. It looks like a marble of darkness and swirling with smoke. From within the crystal are shadow tendrils which extend to the mayor and his 2 unconscious guards. Liana's voice is flat when she speaks. I've never heard her sound so serious before.
A tainted spear, and the branding of void.
You have seen too much.
The treasurer raises the black sphere high, and shadow energy shoots straight towards Liana. Okay, so this is where we can actually, like, this is what I was talking about. She raises her hand to create another ball of wind, which she fires at the shadowy ball. The shadow ball cuts through Liana's magic like a knife through butter, and her wind scatters harmlessly into the room. There we go. Liana! I dash toward her and knock her out of the way. I take the full brunt of the shadow blast, and I'm flung back against the wall. Agony sears my body. I grit through the pain and look at Liana. It doesn't look like any of the magic hit her. She rushes over, her face a mix of bewilderment and concern. Yep. I muster up a smile. Go get him.
That was so reckless.
Yeah, true. Liana unsheathes her blade. A determined fire in her eyes. She faces the treasurer and raises her sword. Her manipulator glows with power, which flows into her blade, encasing it in a similar glow. Magic particles swirl around as static sparks of energy lash out from her weapon. In an instant, she dashes towards the treasurer at an inhuman speed. He fires 2 shadow bolts, but Liana uses her blade to cut through the air and shoots off 2 slices of energy, which cut through the shadow magic.
What?
Yeah!
That's that. Liana lunges and charges her blade towards the treasurer. Just before her sword would pierce him, the treasurer throws his tainted sphere to the ground. It shatters apart, and the shadowy mist leaks out. Of the orb, enclosing the room in a dark fog. The thick fog clouds my vision, so I can't see anything. As it slowly begins to fade, I make out Liana watching her surroundings, but the treasurer is nowhere to be seen. When she doesn't see her enemy, the glow from her sword fades away. Oh! There's the mayor. The mayor lets out a throaty groan. He rubs at his head. His eyes now looking groggy. Let's see. His eyes now looking groggy. Somebody who has just woken up. Like somebody who's just woken up. Alright, we're gonna take a break right there, guys. I will be right back. Yeah. Just be right back. up, guys? I'm back. I hope I didn't keep y'all waiting long. Hope I really didn't. Hope I didn't keep y'all waiting long. I'm back now. I'm back. Okay, so we're gonna save it. All right. And yeah, I already read this part. Okay, cool.
What is...
Like I wanted to take a break so I could get up, stretch my legs, you know. Like I've been sitting down for 2 hours. I want to make sure like blood's still circulating. You know what I'm saying? Liana sheathes her blade.
Take it easy. You were under the effects of shadow magic.
Shadow magic?
He shakes his head as if to free his thoughts. He must be trying to shake off the lingering effects of the magic.
Is it finally over?
Liana nods. The mayor takes a few more minutes to compose himself. When his eyes seem more focused, he sighs in relief.
You have my thanks.
Suddenly, the door barges open, and Zack races in. Behind him, a wave of guards.
Stop him!
He's with us!
The mayor stands unsteadily on his feet, but addresses the guards.
Leave them be!
Sorry, my throat's acting up now.
But they... I said leave them be!
They hesitate and shoot confused glances at each other, but ultimately follow the order and lower their weapons.
Took you guys long enough.
He looks at me.
What are you doing down there?
I groan as I rotate onto my back. Liana offers me a hand, which I accept.
He took a shadow blast, aimed for me.
Zack blinks in surprise, but looks impressed.
Seems like you ended up being useful after all.
Oh, that's just rude. Thanks? Liana checks her manipulator, but it remains still.
The shadow magic is gone.
The mayor seems much more alert.
It was my treasurer, wasn't it?
Liana nods. He sighs heavily and sits back down in his chair.
When he first arrived into town, I thought he would be like all the other travelers and go on his way. But he said he knew how to make this town even greater than what it is now. He had ideas on how we could become more than just a wayward stop. The first step was to increase taxes to build up our treasury.
He hangs his head in his hands.
All I wanted was to help the people here have better lives. But all I've done is cause them suffering.
You weren't in control of yourself.
But it was me who made all the rulings and enforced those tax laws.
Liana shakes her head.
It wasn't you. That man had a tainted sphere, and he was using it to influence you.
The mayor leans back. He looks tired, as if a huge weight was dropped on him.
I don't deserve to continue as mayor of this town.
One of the guards steps forward.
That's not true.
I look over at the guard and recognize his voice. I recognize his voice and look over at the guard. Yeah, let's just say that. I don't know why they said I look over at the voice. I recognize his voice and look over at the guard. It's one of the guards formerly controlled by shadow magic.
I know what it's like when he used that magic. All I could think about was how I could become an honor guard. The thought was overwhelming and I'd do anything to achieve it. I know that wasn't the real you, Mayor.
The other formerly controlled guard steps forward and nods.
Me too. Little Garrett still plays with the toy sword you gave him for his birthday. Says he's practicing for when he joins the guard too.
The other guards in the room murmur their assent.
There's nobody who can run this town better than you.
The mayor glances at the hopeful faces of his guards. In this small town, I can believe that he knows each of them by name. Finally, He gives them a weak smile.
I suppose somebody needs to clean up this mess.
He gets back to his feet and turns to us.
I don't know how to thank you for what you've done for us.
Liana smiles warmly.
I'm glad we were able to help.
Zack and I nod.
You must be exhausted. Please, feel free to stay at Raven Pass for as long as you like. You are always welcome here.
Thank you.
The three of us leave the mayor to his business and head out of the mansion. Once outside, I glance at the darkening sky. Liana mirrors my movements.
We should rest up for the night.
Agreed.
I nod.
I saw the inn back towards the shops.
Zack leads the way. After turning down a side street, we see the lighted sign for the Hog's Head Inn. I stifle a yawn as we head inside. Zack and I sit down at a table while Liana speaks with the innkeeper. She returns with 2 keys. Looking a bit shocked, wordlessly, she passes one to Zack. What's going on?
The innkeeper refused to let us pay for the rooms or food. Said it was by order of the mayor, and
Nice.
one he would happily oblige.
That was really nice of him. She nods. Another silence falls over us, but this one feels natural and not a bit uncomfortable. After a few minutes, the staff brings out 3 steaming bowls and places one in front of each of us. Once the bowl hits the table, Zack digs in with gusto and practically inhales the food. Liana and I share a look before we grab our spoons. Ah, stew again? She nods.
It's hearty and filling.
Rabbit again?
Actually, this time it's venison.
I take a bite. No way. This is even better. Liana grins.
I like venison more.
I've actually never had venison. I've never actually agreed with it, and the reason why it's venison's baby deer, man. Come on. Like I understand they're animals and it's for like I guess like they're like we're carnivores or we're omnivores and they're a type of animal that we consume, but honestly I feel like that's the only type of animal I don't think I'd eat is venison. I can't agree with it. Like baby deers are so cute. I just can't. I try not to wince every time I use my spoon. The fire has eased out of my body, but my shoulder still throbs from when I landed on the ground. Liana glances at me, then gets up and walks back to the innkeeper. She returns with a compress in her hand. She offers it to me with a smile.
This should help with the pain.
I hold it against my shoulder and smile appreciatively as the pain slowly melts into a dull ache.
Thanks for helping me back there.
I smile. Anytime. I continue digging into my meal. So, what exactly makes shadow magic bad?
It's far more dangerous than any other elemental magic, and it's incredibly unstable and volatile. The most serious thought of shadow magic is how it's able to amplify the shadowy thoughts of someone's mind.
So the treasurer was manipulating what the mayor was already feeling. She nods.
He might have wanted to help the town by looking to expand, but there's also a bit of selfishness on his part for wanting to do that too. Either greed from more money coming in and more luxurious goods, or wanting more fame and recognition.
Interesting.
Everyone has thoughts like that. It's just a matter of keeping those thoughts in check.
True. Liana nods.
Shadow magic, unfortunately, lets those desires loose in a destructive way.
Sorry, 1 second, guys. I was just checking my phone really quick. Is there any way to block against it?
Unless you are a mage. Not really.
Liana picks at her food.
Most people can't control the magic well, and it's very easy for it to backfire and cause more harm to the caster than the intended target.
That treasurer seemed to be handling it well. She looks even more worried.
I know, which is even more troubling considering the fact that shadow magic is outlawed in Havengard.
Zack pushes his now empty bowl away from him.
I think he's part of Void.
Liana's frown deepens.
I think so too. I noticed the branding on his forearm.
What's Void?
They're practitioners of shadow magic. They first rose to power during the struggle of the Three Kingdoms, before the Treaty of Asaria. They wanted to grow their power in the outreach of shadow magic, and a lot of innocent people were killed in the process. At the height of their power, they grew so powerful and were so destructive that the Three Kingdoms had to set aside their differences and band together.
That's when the treaty was formed. Part of the agreement was to outlaw shadow magic.
Are you really telling me it took 3 kingdoms to take down one cult?
Shadow magic is a lot more powerful than any other elemental magic, which is why there are people who still want to practice it. It's impossible to stabilize the magic, so it's deemed too dangerous to be used.
Zack nods. I see. No wonder both Liana and Zack seemed so grim when they first noticed the shadow magic. I stifle a yawn.
Is everyone done eating?
Zack and I both nod.
Then I suggest we head to bed.
I second that motion. I'm exhausted.
I know.
She grins, and I can feel a rush of warmth to my face. I guess she saw my yawn. Zack leads the way upstairs, clutching one of the keys. We stop in front of 2 adjoining doors.
Well, good night then.
Good night. Zack nods. Liana turns the key and lets herself into her room, then gently closes the door behind her. Zack also turns the key and lets himself into the second room. And as I'm about to follow him in, the door slams shut. Very funny. I can turn the handle, very funny. I turn the handle, but it's locked. What the hell? Zack, let me in! He ignored me, so I pound on the door. Come on, let me in! He doesn't answer, but a couple of people poke their heads out of their rooms and glare at me. I'll try Liana's room. This is ridiculous. I knock on Liana's door. Liana? She opens the door a crack, then pulls it open all the way when she recognizes me. Her brows are creased with worry.
Is something wrong?
Zack's being mean. Yeah. Zack locked me out of the room. She blinks.
Really? Is that it?
And I need to get in there?
Alright, then get in there.
What the hell? How? She smirks.
I'm sure you'll figure it out. Good night.
Wow. She closes the door. That didn't go as expected. I continue hammering repeatedly on the door. I can keep this up all night. Suddenly, the door swings open and I walk in. The first thing I notice are the two twin beds. Zack lounges on one of them and fixes his stony gaze on me. What the hell was that? Why didn't you let me in?
No space.
There are 2 beds. Zack wordlessly walks over to the other bed and pulls back the covers. Tucked inside the bed are both of his dischargers. Not cool, man. Not cool. I go to remove the weapons.
What are you doing?
This is my bed.
But then where will they sleep?
I just look at him. Finally, he sighs and collects his dischargers. Let him sleep on the desk. I saw a desk there. I lie back on the bed, and as soon as my head hits the pillow, I fall asleep. I'm rudely awakened by boisterous yells. As I blink my eyes open, I see the Pongo planted on Zack's face. What is going on? Zack leaps off the bed, continuing his scolding, and the Pongo scurries under the pillow. I think you scared him.
Get out of there!
He snatches the pillow to reveal the Pongo contentedly blobbing all over his dischargers. I guess trying to get the magic. The Pongo's eyes are slitted shut, and he wears a silly grin.
Don't even think about it!
Zack scoops up his dischargers and forcefully gives them a shake. The Pongo's eyes snap open, and as he wobbles in the air, clinging for dear life.
Poi!
Zack doesn't cease his shaking, and somehow the Pongo seems to be hanging on.
Poi!
His small body jiggles up and down until he finally bounces to the floor.
Poi poi!
He glares daggers at Zack, who is too busy inspecting his dischargers to notice. There's a sharp knock at the door. Barely comprehending what's going on, I shuffle to the door and open it a crack.
I heard yelling. Is everything
She cuts off mid-sentence, and her eyes grow wide. I look behind me and see Zack dangling his dischargers high in the air while the Pongo leaps to reach it.
These aren't for you to absorb!
Poi!
I'll just wait for you guys downstairs.
Before I can answer, she turns around and walks away. I can't blame her for that. I close the door and start getting dressed. A long while later, I emerge from the room with the Pongo sitting on my head. Zack has his dischargers back in his holsters and shoulders his pack. We head downstairs and meet Liana, who is waiting at one of the tables.
Is everyone ready?
Yep.
Yeah, as long as that thing doesn't come near my dischargers again.
Poi poi!
The Pongo sticks out his tongue. Liana speaks before the two of them can start again.
All right, then let's hit the road.
With one final nod, she leads the way out of the inn and back into town. The rest of the journey towards Illumia is peaceful yet uneventful. The Pongo snoozes on my head for most of the way there. Liana frequently sneaks a peek at him and smiles to herself. Zack keeps to himself and continues to be in the lead for fewest lines spoken. By midday, I can see the stone buildings of Illumia. We make it through the city gates without incident. Here we are, Illumia. Unlike the quaint houses of Meadow Hill Village, Illumia is built taller and grander. There's more noise as people fill the streets. Zack stares down a side street.
This is me.
I crane my neck and peer into an alcove.
It's a shortcut to the inn.
Leanna nods.
Safe travels. Hopefully our paths will cross again.
Good luck at the Mage Academy.
He heads into the alley. Do you think we'll see him again? She shrugs.
Mercenaries have a way of just popping up. Let's keep moving. The Mage Academy is straight ahead, closer to the center of town.
She points to a looming tower with a high steeple. As we get closer, I see that the tower is attached to a castle. Whoa. Whoa. You studied here?
Yep.
It definitely looks prestigious. She notices my she notices my wonder.
What's your academy like?
I shrug. The usual. There are a lot of students all studying different majors, but we all have required core courses which we have to complete before branching into our majors. Leanna nods.
That sounds similar to the Mage Academy. Everyone here must learn magic and casting, but after that, we are able to choose a discipline.
Like becoming a mage knight.
Yeah, that's right.
We begin making our way down the grand streets of Illumia. Once we arrive at the Mage Academy, Leanna pushes right through the wrought iron gates and leads me across the expansive quad. Students pass by in flocks, chatting animatedly. Each of them wears nearly identical long cloaks, differing in color. Leanna glances excitedly at a girl wearing a white cloak. Do you know her?
No, but we're in the same house.
What does that mean?
You can tell by her cloak. White means she's learning wind magic.
I pay more attention to the specific colors. There's white, red, blue, and green. I bet I can guess which color represents what. Wind is white. She nods. Red is fire, blue is water, and green is earth. She grins.
You got it.
We walk past an enclosed field. A young man sporting a green cloak holds a book in one hand, and with his other hand aims a manipulator straight ahead of him. His mouth is pressed in concentration, and beads of sweat line his forehead. After a few tense minutes, the earth rumbles beneath him, and dirt spikes shoot out of the ground. That was awesome.
Come on!
Leanna pulls on my arm, reverting my attention back to the task at hand. We enter the east wing of the castle and into an open foyer. There are only a scattering of students wandering these halls. There are only a scattering of students wandering these halls, and most are accompanied by an adult wearing long black robes. I assume they must be the professors. Leanna scans each professor we pass, as if looking for someone specific. She leads me up a winding staircase, then grins when she spots an older man with graying hair. His robes are pleated. His robes are pleated with white stripes, and he carries a staff in one hand.
Professor Orin!
He turns at the sound of his name and matches Leanna's grin.
Leanna, one of my best and brightest. What a pleasant surprise.
She smiles bashfully at the compliment.
It's great to see you again.
What brings you to the academy?
Actually, I'm here on official business. I'm sure you've heard of the random concentrations of magical energy by now.
He nods.
Well, I found someone who was directly impacted.
She gestures at me. I shift awkwardly at as his gaze falls on me. Although he looks intently at me, I can sense his curiosity.
What exactly do you mean by impacted?
I was investigating a report of unusual magic energy in Meadow Hill, and it turns out the concentrated energy originated from him.
Professor Oren raises a skeptical eyebrow.
That level of energy would tear a human apart from the inside. Are you sure you weren't mistaken?
My manipulator read the energy level. Maybe we can use the Academy's equipment to scan him again.
Yes, let's do that.
He motions for us to follow him, then turns down a hallway. We arrive in a spacious room. There's a large device on one end of the room, which is separated by a wall of glass. The device has two panels on the side which stretch up about 8 feet off the ground. On the other side of the room, are a handful of students and professors. They consistently focus their manipulators in what I assume to be magical tests, and every so often jot down notes. A couple of pongos openly roam the room, mostly ignored by the people. If one wanders a little too close to a crystal, a student chases it away. Otherwise, they leave each other be. I thought you said pongos weren't really welcome in society. Liana looks fondly around the room, a reminiscent smile on her face.
They aren't, but mages tend to like them. Pongos absorb residue energy on the mage from casting, which is surprisingly nice. Kind of feels like a gentle massage.
Professor Oren gives her a soft nudge.
Go ahead.
She nods and turns to me.
We're gonna take another scan of you now.
You're talking about the huge thing behind the glass, right?
Yeah. It looks intimidating, but it functions the same way as my manipulator.
Alright. One of the students leads me to the device and has me stand between the two panels. There's a crystal mounted on top of each panel. Let's see. As he closes the glass door behind him, the quiet mumbling of voices is muted into silence. A beam of soft light emits between the crystals and slowly descends toward my head, passing through my torso and disappearing at my feet. Once the light is gone, the same student lets me back into the room. Professor Oren looks grave, while Liana's mouth is pressed into a firm frown.
This can't be right. Maybe we should scan him again.
Liana, the levels that you reported would have killed this young man.
Even so, how is it possible that this scan shows he has 0 magical energy?
She holds out her manipulator, just as when we first met. A pale light glows. Unlike our initial meeting, as she holds her manipulator closer to me, the light remains unchanged. Liana's face falls. Professor Oren puts a comforting hand on her shoulder.
Had he just cast it? Perhaps it was magical residue which you had read. As you know, that tends to slowly leave the body after each magic use.
She shakes her head.
It was too high a reading to just be residue.
I'm not gonna get involved in this. I don't know what's going on right now, so I better keep quiet. I don't want to confuse the situation even more.
Perhaps your manipulator malfunctioned and provided an incorrect read.
Leanna looks skeptical.
I suppose it's possible.
That is the most likely explanation. I should get back to my students, but I hope I get to see you again.
Professor Oren gives Leanna's shoulder one last comforting squeeze before leaving. While our discussion had been taking place, I noticed the Pongos would watch me with interest. A green one starts to gravitate towards us. Maybe it's interested in Leanna's magic? But then, why does it look like it's heading towards me?
Poi?
I look down and see my wildly blue friend at my feet. Hey, you're back.
Poi!
He bounces on the ground and fixes me with a wide smile. Suddenly, he stops and stares at the green Pongo, who blinks back at him. He hops towards it and grins.
Poi! Poi poi! Poi!
My Pongo's eyes widen.
Poi! Poi poi!
The green Pongo grins. Let's see. The green Pongo grins and hops away, and my Pongo follows it. I have no idea what just happened, but why do I feel all warm and fuzzy inside? As the Pongos run off, a professor in a wheelchair rolls towards us. Although he's lost his hair, he doesn't seem as old as some of the others. Yes, it's who you think it is. They make a mention of X-Men in this.
Leanna,
Yeah, see? They just put an E in front of his name. She doesn't bother containing her surprise.
Professor Xavier!
It says, what am I thinking? I'm not gonna be a dick. I'm just gonna say, pleasure to meet you. He smiles at Leanna.
it's always nice to see a familiar face.
Then he turns his attention to me. It's nice to meet you, sir.
You as well.
Professor, is there something I can help you with?
Leanna, how high was your original energy reading?
In the thousands.
He creases his brow and ponders quietly.
Tell me, are you familiar with the theory of temporal rifts?
Leanna and I both shake our heads.
In the most basic sense, a temporal rift occurs when the fabric of the universe is torn. In the midst of this tear, there is a moment where the parallel worlds overlap.
Leanna and I glance sharply at each other. Would it be possible to cross between these worlds?
It may be in theory, but it'd be very difficult. After all, that type of travel between worlds would require an immense amount of energy, an amount that no human would be able to manipulate and survive. That's why most elders have dismissed this as nonsense, but listening to all that's been said today, it coincides quite closely with this theory.
For the first time since we arrived at this school, I begin to feel a glimmer of hope. What more can you share about this theory?
Well, not much, I'm afraid. As I said, most consider it to be either nonsense or too inconsequential to waste their time on. Although there is one man who spent his life developing and researching this theory. He used to be an instructor of this academy.
Is he still in Illumia?
Unfortunately, he left many years ago in search of Ember Mist.
Leanna purses her lips.
The Hidden City.
He nods. If it's hidden, I'm guessing it'll be hard to find. Before he can respond, a student with 2 long pigtails strides over.
Please allow me to accompany you on your quest.
Another one of our main characters, Amelia Estelle. Professor Xavier replies sternly.
Absolutely not.
Could you elaborate on your disapproval? This is an excellent opportunity to further my research and education.
This is not a Mage Academy-sponsored expedition, so there won't be mages around to protect you. It's a dangerous journey, especially given the fact that no one knows the location of Ember Mist.
The girl stays silent, and I can practically see the cogs in her head spinning as she contemplates his words. Finally, she nods.
Understood.
As soon as she finishes speaking, she turns on a heel and walks away. What just happened?
Pay her no mind. That's just how she is.
Who is she?
That's Amelia Estelle, the university's prodigy. She's only a teenager, but already a mage caster, which means she can manipulate 2 different elements at the same time.
I flash her a grin, grateful. I flash her a grateful smile for automatically explaining what a mage caster is. I'm guessing mage casters are usually a little older than a teen. Leanna grins.
Just a little. Most mage casters are in their 40s.
My eyes widen. She must really be something special then.
Anyway, thank you for all of your help, Professor.
I'm sorry I wasn't able to be more helpful, but I wish you the best of luck on your journey.
Yeah, sorry I keep itching my face, you guys. It's because I just cut my hair today, and then at the same time, the only reason it looks like this is because I just cut it today, and at the same time, it still itches a bit. I need to put on some aftershave when I get a chance. Let's see. After saying goodbye, his wheelchair moves on its own and pushes him out of the room. Whoa. Did his wheelchair just move by itself?
Not quite. He's using wind magic to push it along.
The more I see magic in use, the more I wish I could use it.
What did you think of everything the professor said?
It sounds exactly like what happened to me. We should find this Ember Mist city and talk to the professor there. She nods.
Unfortunately, no one knows how to get there. Let's stop by the inn. Since it's a hub for travelers from all over, there's bound to be someone who knows something.
That sounds like our best course of action. Once agreed, Leanna leads the way out of the academy. Wow, such a long conversation. Holy crap. Seriously, it was like a 20-minute conversation. I'm not joking. Jesus. I follow her through the twisting roads of Illumia. When asked why we were taking so many turns, she said she wanted to avoid the marketplace, which would be so crowded with people we wouldn't be able to walk through it. Soon, we reach the inn. The place is a lot larger than any other inn we've stayed at so far. Along with the smoothly crafted dining tables, there's a fireplace along the far wall, with labeled jars on the mantle. Okay. The place is fairly busy for this time of day, and only a couple of tables are open. Per usual, Leanna speaks with the innkeeper. I see him point towards a couple by the fireplace. When she returns, she drops a key in my hand.
Here's the key to your room. I figured we're going to be spending the night here.
I nod as I pocket my key.
The innkeeper doesn't know how to get to Ember Mist, but he says that couple comes from the far desert. They might know.
maybe we should split up. We can cover more ground that way.
Good idea. I'll go talk to that couple first.
Okay. As Liana walks off, I survey the room. Let's ask the adventurers first. I approach a table of misfits. These guys look like they're well traveled. There's a tall, bulky man wearing fur boots and a loincloth, and very little else. His muscles ripple as he takes a swig from his tankard. Beside him is a short and stout bearded man. Gold is entwined in his braided beard, and a scar runs from his bald head down his cheek. The last member of the party is a lithe, blonde, elegant man. A bow is slung on his back, and his glossy hair spills around it. Hey there. The blonde man grins. The blonde man grins while the other two peer at me.
Well, aren't you a tall, refreshing drink of water?
Sorry, after a while, it takes me, it's... After a while, my reading starts to break down, and I'm sorry about that. It's just, like, I can't read for long periods of time, otherwise, like, I'll slow down. I will slow down reading. And I have no idea why. I need to work on my reading more.
I'm Randall, but you can call me Randy.
He winks. Nope, I'm out of here. And this must be why my mother told me not to talk to strangers. I think it's time to nope on out of here before something I regret happens. Actually, I'm sorry for bothering you. I hurry away from their table and survey the room again. I approach the pretty redhead at the bar. Hey there. She smiles.
Hi.
She's a hooker. Okay. Are you looking to join a party?
I can be.
I sit down beside her. Have you been here long? She gives me a curious look.
Long enough to know that I haven't seen you before.
Yeah, she's a lady of the night. I'm just passing through. I guess my character is like, I guess the protagonist is just like, oh, this is just a normal conversation. Because he's never seen a prostitute before. I'm just passing through.
Oh, where are you headed?
To Ember Mist. Suddenly, her smile drops. That's not the reaction I was expecting.
Ember Mist doesn't exist.
I frown. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Alright, never mind then. Her smile drops again, and she grabs her drink. She sways her hips as she walks and approaches a man who's drinking alone. Her alluring smile returns as she sits down beside him and touches his hand. Wait a minute, is she a consort? Let's pretend that didn't happen. Looks like I'm not having much luck. I wonder how Liana is doing. Judging from her pout, she had about as much success as I did. We make our way back to the bar.
Greetings.
Oh, it's Amelia. Amelia waits for us by the bar, and I'm startled to see her presence. Liana looks just as shocked.
What are you doing here?
I've come to accompany you on your journey.
Professor Xavier made it very clear that you were to stay at the academy.
His logic is rational, but my presence and assistance is far more beneficial for you than it is for me to remain at the academy.
What assistance?
I am aware of the location of Ember Mist.
How is that possible?
How I know is irrelevant.
Alright. If you know, then tell us where it is.
I will gladly impart this knowledge into you should you accept me as a travel companion.
But the Academy won't let you go.
She shrugs.
If I cannot go, then I suppose neither can you.
She's got a point. Leanna bites her lip. I can tell she's torn. We should let her join. We should let her join.
We shouldn't go against a direct order from the Mage Academy.
What other choice do we have? She frowns. Nobody at this inn knows the location. I doubt we'll find anyone else who can tell us how to get there. Are you willing to give up on this lead? Leanna runs her hand through her hair as she thinks. She steals glances at Amelia, who watches us with hawk eyes. Finally, Leanna's expression softens, and she nods.
Fine. You can come with us, but only on the condition that you let us bring extra protection.
That is a logical conclusion. I am not opposed to it.
All right. I'll see if I can find some mages last minute.
No!
Both Leanna and I stare at Amelia.
Mages will alert the Academy of our proposal.
And then, they wouldn't let us go.
Correct.
I suppose that makes sense.
She taps a finger on her chin.
I guess the only other option is to hire a mercenary.
She grins.
And I think I know just the guy.
Leanna and I scan the inn for any signs of Zack. She spots him in a secluded corner of the inn, drinking alone.
Hey, Zack!
He looks up from his tankard. If he's surprised, he doesn't show it. He nods his greetings.
Guess things went well at the academy.
As well as expected. I'm actually here to do business.
Zack cocks his head slightly.
You have my attention.
We need protection for our newest companion.
She nods towards Amelia, who merely stares at Zack. He gives her a once-over.
Isn't she a mage?
Yes, but a student.
That is not an accurate description. I am...
You're a student. Leanna glares at her.
A student.
Yeah, you're a student.
While not untrue, I have fulfilled the necessary curriculum to be considered.
Amelia!
Leanna is clearly exacerbated. Amelia cocks her head to the side and studies Leanna curiously. Anyway, what we're trying to ask is, are you for hire and will you accept this job? Zack pauses and takes a long swig from his drink. He looks from me to Leanna, to Amelia, then pauses again. Finally, he nods.
All right.
Really? That's great! We're headed to Ember Mist.
Zack raises an eyebrow.
The hidden city?
We have someone who knows the way.
Zack's gaze falls on Amelia.
Interesting.
Alright, now that we have our team, what do we do now?
There's no point in beginning our journey when the sun is almost gone.
That's true.
I should return to the academy before my disappearance is observed.
Good idea. We can reconvene here tomorrow morning.
The three of us leave Zack alone, and Amelia heads out of the inn. Just as she leaves, a group of young adults burst in. They laugh loudly, and their cheeks are flushed as if from dancing or running. A circlet of flowers on each one of their heads. Leanna gasps.
Oh, the festival!
Festival?
Yeah, it's a celebration of the spring equinox. Do you want to go check it out?
Sure. Sounds fun. Leanna grins.
It is. It's one of my favorite festivals.
And unfortunately, you guys, that is where I'm gonna have to call it for now. I'm so sorry. I'm just like... I can only read for so much, damn it. Okay, like I can only read for so much. Like but it's like the story's getting interesting, and I hope you guys will come back for more tomorrow, or maybe the day after tomorrow. I haven't decided how I'm gonna actually read this, but chances are it'll probably be every other day rather than every day. But I will say, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. So, peace out.